your new and returning viewers, what can they expect this season on Trafficked?
Yeah, this is actually my favorite season yet. It was very personal to me on many levels. I got to film in my home country. I got to answer a plea from a daughter in Minnesota whose father is wrongly convicted and arrested and in a prison half a world away in Mozambique. I got stuck last episode in a military coup in Africa, which was one of the most nerve-wracking and scariest moments of my life. And so it was very personal to me, but it's also, I think, the best 10 episodes that we've ever done. I'm very, very proud of this season. And I think we explored worlds that people had no idea existed. Like what happens to you once you die? You think that you get a choice in the matter, but actually you don't. And what is happening to the great apes and how they're at the brink of extinction, and how 20 million Americans are having to turn to the black market to procure their medication so that they can live. And all these incredible, I think, incredibly important, but also eye-opening and wild stories that we got to tell in this season.
I agree. You do tell stories that I think so many people have never even considered or would never know about. And I am so impressed by your level of access and how you're just asked to speak to people you'd think would not want to be on camera. Can you tell me about that process?
Yeah, it's the hardest part of our jobs. I think that when people watch Traffic, the downside is that they think we make it look like it's easy, but it's months, sometimes even years, knocking on doors, making phone calls, and doing everything we can to convince people to talk to us. I always say that I've gotten really used to being turned down, because for every yes that we get hundreds and hundreds of no's. And many trips around the world to places to meet people who said that they're ready to talk to us, and then they disappear, or they get nervous. And so that's part of the job. But I think at the end of the day, people talk to us because, there's a level of wanting to boast about what they do. These are the best at what they do, the best traffickers, smugglers, counterfeiters. And rarely do they get a chance to talk about what they do. We give them that opportunity behind a mask with a distorted voice. I think there's a sense of impunity in many of the worlds that we visit, and where corruption abounds, and people don't see a downside to talking to an internationally recognized brand like National Geographic and trusted brand. And I think at the end of the day, for me, I truly believe that one of the biggest reasons why people talk to us is because it's a very human characteristic that we all have, that everyone wants to be understood. And I approach everyone that I meet the same way, with the same sort of level of empathy. And I tell them, I'm not here to judge, I'm here to understand. And I think that goes a very, very long way. And this need of being understood that we all share.
Yeah, following up on that, I know that, your job as a journalist is to present the facts and not make judgments. Has that gotten easier or harder over the course of your career?
Yeah, I think our jobs as journalists is to look for the truth, right? And that doesn't mean that we have to hide emotions or hide how we feel. Or I think sometimes, a lot of times, as the host of the show, as the investigative journalist that takes people on these journeys, I am the vessel that people travel with, right? So I never hold back tears. I tell people all the time when I cry, I smile, I tell people when I'm scared and when I'm legitimately scared. And I think this helps people connect, because without connections, people don't care what's happening around the world. So these connections are incredibly important. Yeah, sometimes it gets more personal than others, and when I get stuck in a military coup, for example, it got incredibly personal to me. When I'm reporting in my hometown and I get to spend time on camera, smoking drugs, which have been legalized in Europe, in Portugal, with my best friend and my cousin, it gets very personal for me as well. But I don't shy away from any of it. And at the end of the day, the stories are less about me, but they're about the people that are affected by these stories. And that's oftentimes all of us.
Sure. And I also feel like you do a great job of letting us know when you are feeling threatened or when a situation either turns out worse or better than you expect. Now, when you're making these episodes, I know they can take up to months and months and months to come together. But what do you want people to feel as they're kind of watching these episodes?
I think initially shock and awe, definitely. I want people to want to continue watching, to be glued to the television and keep on it. I want people to be informed, but at the end of the day, I want people to have empathy. And I really strongly try to get people to connect again with people that live half a world away, that have very different backgrounds than we do, very different jobs, that the people, the people that we consider the criminals, the traffickers, the smugglers, there's a real stereotype out there about this kind of people. I think it's easier for us to think about the world as black and white, them versus us. But if we can understand that there's a little bit of us in every one of them, and there's a little bit of them in us as well, then I think the world becomes an easier place and a more hopeful place to live in. So at the end of the day, I don't want people to turn on the television and say, oh my God, depressing, it's trafficked. Yes, we're going to be telling you about hard issues and sometimes depressing stories. But at the end of the day, I hope that you feel that you, in this moment of watching television, that you've connected on a deeper level to the world and the people around you.
I think you succeed because I definitely feel like you did such a good job of showing us multiple points of view, of telling us exactly why some people get into the situations they're in. And of course, it's all about money in a lot of cases. It's also sometimes about prestige. But the fact that you could kind of trace it back to money almost 100% of the time was so interesting. And thank you for showing that.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy that you got all of that. I'm
Yeah,
really happy.
absolutely.